friendlier, and I don't think this little girl would have had the same experience where I come from.
Wonderful. Anyone else with anything, any other observations that you'd like to share? Okay. So I'm going to take the responses that you've given me and use that as my raw material for the rest of my talk. So you mentioned that her experience was more particularistic of a crowded urban city like London. And what does that say? That says that the stories that we form, that we tell ourselves about ourselves, are often based on perspective. Now, when you understand perspective, what I would like to look at very briefly is how we can use the art of storytelling to empower ourselves and our own lives. Right? And here you said you were beaming, it was happiness. Now, it was very early in the morning, it was about 6:40 a.m. I'm on my way to Brexit work. Most of my fellow commuters are making the journey from sleep to wakefulness. No one's particularly in a beaming or happy mood, and yet I found my space of beam and happiness. And often in life, we have these stories right in our midst, right in front of us, but we overlook it because we're not conditioned to pick it up and see it. Now, whether you look at things like epics, whether it's the Greek epics, poems, epics, like the Hindu mythological epics of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, on the basis of which the Hindu religion is based. You look at things like self-affirmations. If anyone has heard of every day telling yourself things like, I'm magical, I can do it, I can win. What is this? It's all telling ourselves stories. Even the affirmations are stories. Now we can decide to choose which stories in our day we pick up and focus on and which stories we don't. And that's where the power of storytelling lies. And I'd like to elucidate that by using the example of working with the children in my charity, which is Paint Our World. And two particular examples I'd like to use. So one is, our children come to us from the streets, from railway station platforms. They have no concept of health and hygiene. Most of them have never had a shower, have never been under running water, have never used a bar of soap. So we communicate the idea of hygiene, which is so alien and unfamiliar to them, via storytelling. So now all my children want to be like the clean monkey and not like the dirty rat. And they want to brush their teeth like the clean monkey. So I've seen the power of storytelling. Most importantly, where the power of storytelling lies is they have been through severe forms of trauma, unimaginable trauma. And I tell them, and we tell them at Paint Our World, to take pride even in their trauma and their process of healing. To take pride because our individual journeys, whatever they might be, are our caterpillar struggles that give us our unique butterfly wings. So rather than saying, why has this happened to me? Look at the fact that this has happened to me in a certain way, probably made me more compassionate, more aware, more empathetic. The process, the caterpillar struggle process, is what is in itself very empowering. So each of my children's stories that might seem dark, might seem shameful and despicable, we can also see from the perspective, as you said, of being very empowering. And that is absolutely powerful and magical. That's where the miracle of the work that we do lies. So we can use stories, really, we can appropriate them as miracles. And as my experience said, that storytelling is something that applies to us throughout our life journeys. And I'm so glad that I picked on that one story. And if at the end of our talk we have some time, I'm very happy to share. I'd love to share another story with you all that a lot of my friends said lifted them into rainbow expressions on their face. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Binkley. I am the founder of the Intuitive Intelligence Academy, and I've built an international business on teaching people how to share their story from the stage and turn it into a business. So how many of you have a story where you feel like you're a victim, or you've been a victim in a story before? Yeah. Yeah. How many of you have a story where you're the persecutor or the person that has caused a challenge for someone else? And how many of you have had stories where you've gotten the lesson, you've learned what I call the masterpiece message? Yeah. I think that it's the most powerful thing that we can do to take our stories and move through the different arenas of where am I the victim, where have I been the persecutor, how can I take the lesson, what is the lesson in that, and how can I create what I call a masterpiece out of it. So I teach people how to create a masterpiece message. Your life, your story is your masterpiece. Just like she was talking about with the children, and she teaches them how to be empowered through the trauma that they have endured. I have a piece where I teach my clients what I call gratitude through trauma. And I take them through a process where we use perceptual positions to move them through every single space until they can get to a place where they actually have gratitude for the crap, the shit that we have in our lives. And I talk about how my transformation for that came for myself in 2015 when I finally realized that it had happened before that, but it was 2015 when I actually realized that that's what it was. Because in 1994 I was brutally raped, locked in a garage and raped as a senior in high school. And I spent the next 15 years of my life, drugs, alcohol, drug dealing, self-mutilation, sexual exploits, you name it, all sorts of really crazy things. But I was a high achiever. I went to graduated from Ohio State, summa cum laude. I was on the outside, the perfectionist. Nobody knew what was going on the inside. And it was self-hatred and self-mutilation. And about 7 years after that happened, I went back to my hometown because my baby sister was graduating from high school. And I drove past the home where it had happened. And at that time, I was a drug dealer. I had an eating disorder. I was on drugs. I have a 2-year-old daughter. And I remember being very angry and mad as I drove past that place and just kind of putting the finger up, doing one of those like, And then in 2015, 13 years later, so 20 years after the incident, I drove past that exact same spot and I actually stopped in the middle of the road in this one-horse town. My grandparents' grocery store that I had worked at as a child, playing, was the county corner from there. And I stopped, I turned off the engine and I just started crying and I actually said, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I had built an international business on helping people heal from trauma. So I had learned processes, had done that, have gone all over the world teaching other spiritual and conscious entrepreneurs how to tell their stories and turn them into processes. And I realized at that moment the power of being able to be empowered from your story and from who you are and having a masterpiece. And so that was a huge shift for me. And I've really recognized that as I move forward, that I want to share that with other people and teach them how do you create a masterpiece message, how do you turn your life into something that helps transform other people's lives, how do you become what I call a love leader in your community, whether it's one person, whether you're helping one person, you're helping a community, or my goal is 1 billion. I have a goal to reach 1 billion people in my lifetime through me teaching these processes to others. That's what we do at the Intuitive Intelligence Academy. So I've created a trauma healing process called Intuitive Intelligence that works with this, and I'm teaching it to other light workers and healers and coaches, and that's my masterpiece. My masterpiece was taking my story and turning it into a process, and I teach other people how to do that. And I really think that it's really powerful for us when we can create a masterpiece from our own lives and share a story. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of the processes that you can use in your own life. You can go home and you can share, you can use this with somebody in your life and do it, and it's going to help you to move through a story in your life that you're maybe stuck in, somewhere where you haven't healed yet, maybe somewhere where you haven't got the forgiveness. This is actually one of the processes that I used on myself to finally be able to talk to my father again after seeing him rape a woman in front of me when I was a child. And this is a really powerful process. So you have 4 different positions that you have. So you have position number 1, which is you and yourself. You and yourself as the victim of the story. You and yourself as, this is who I am. And you're going to just have somebody sit in front of you, and you're going to tell the story to them as if you were the victim. Get into it. Feel the emotion of it. Like cry. Feel it. Get it really. The heart, the emotion, the heart brain, what we have right here, is the most powerful healing tool that we have. It's not here. It's here. And when you connect into this, that is where you're going to heal. So tell that story deeply, empathetically, like as you are the victim. Even if you don't still feel like you're that much victimized by it, do it from that place. Then literally step out of your own self. Find it, like make a circle on the floor, get into a different chair, go somewhere else. Go into position number 2. This is the perceptual position of the persecutor. Now, this doesn't have to be an actual person. It could be like me, it was my father. But it could be a disease. It could be cancer. It could be a weight issue. It can be whatever it is, whatever you feel that you're the victim of. And then you step into that space. And you tell the story from that perspective. Like, I had a client who had a tumor in her brain. And she stepped into the position of what did that tumor do for her. It turned out it had changed her whole life because she started to live. And so she told the story from the perspective of the tumor and started to realize a lot of things about herself. So then you move into the third position. The third position is the higher self, the higher consciousness, the wise observer from above. So you step into that position, you say, okay, now that I'm looking at that relationship between the victim and the persecutor, what do I know? What do I see from this higher position? And how can I tell the story from that aspect? And then the fourth position is what I call the masterpiece position, the hero's journey, the lesson. Taking all of those pieces, you step into that fourth place and you say, what did I learn? How can I apply this to my life? And how can I use this story to help other people? Those 4 things. And this is something you can process. You don't need somebody else to do. But it's great if you have somebody there to tell the stories to and do that. I do this at my workshops. I do 7-day intensive retreats all over the world, and we do this process with my conscious entrepreneurs and teaching them this. And I'm telling you, it's one of the most powerful things you can do without having to have somebody else work with you. Yes?
Can you please tell the third point?
Yeah. The third is the higher self. So the connection to whatever you want to call it, the God field, your higher self, source. From a higher perspective, the witness, detached observer, any of that kind of stuff. Anything where you're looking at it from somewhere detached and with a higher perspective and a higher idea.
The first is the victim, the second is the
persecutor,
the third is
the higher self.
And fourth is what can I...
The fourth is the masterpiece, and that's how you put it all together, the lessons and how you and how it integrates and how you can share that with the world. Yeah.
Slower and in the same order.
Sure. So number 1 is the victim. So the victim is us, as in we are the victim of the story, the problem, or we feel like that we have something has been done wrong to us. The second is the persecutor. So the persecutor could be either a person or a disease or an illness, but it's the thing that you feel like has done you wrong, like whatever has, like in my case of when with my father and the challenges with like working, it was, I saw you rape a woman in front of me. I have this challenge, so he was the persecutor in my life. Then the third is the higher self.
The second persecutor is the other person is the persecutor. You are the persecutor.
You step into them. So you step into them. Like, so we're using quantum physics, quantum field here. Like literally you're sourcing somebody else's information. So you're stepping into their experience or the cancer or the disease, the experience of that other thing, the thing that is your persecutor. Yeah. And the third is the higher self, the wise observer, the disconnected, or the person that is now I lost the word for it. The conscious observer, somebody that's looking at it that's detached, that doesn't have an opinion from either side, so that you're looking at it in a detached way. And then the fourth is the masterpiece, what I call the masterpiece message or the hero's journey is how do I figure out what is the lesson in all of this? How can I apply it to my life? And then how can I share that with others so that they can have that change too? It's really powerful, so thank you. Any other questions? Great, thank you so much.
After the art of storytelling, we have Smita who will tell us there is more to fitness than being slim. Over to you.
Well, actually, thank you very much, Dipika. Good morning, everybody. I'm dressed like this because we were going to have a yoga class. That was what was on the schedule. and that's got changed at 2 o'clock in the morning, and now I'm in 2 sessions parallel. I'm meant to be bilocating in another one as well. Something about being a superwoman. Anyway, I'm happy to talk about storytelling too, if that's okay with you. I can go with anything, because actually I'm an author of a trilogy called Karma and Diamonds, and it is inspired by real events from my own life. It's what they call a narrative non-fiction, or a faction, which means it's inspired by real events from life, and in fact in this case it's my own life. And it reads like fiction. So what would you like me to talk about? Would you like me to share? It's a trilogy, so there's quite a bit to say. There's particularly one thing that I would love to share with you anyway. But and I also do teach yoga, and I did all these things to kind of keep my sanity while I was working in the corporate environment for like 25 years. So whatever you want me to talk about, I'm happy to go with. It seems to me we're in the storytelling theme, though.
Go for storytelling.
Yeah.
Is that good for you guys?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, great. Well, storytelling. So, actually, I think the thing about stories is that, as everybody has said, Indu and Priya and Melissa, everybody's I think we all know that life is all about perspective, which is why we call it story, in the sense that, it is all about the filters through our own experience through which we see life, right? So if you imagine you're wearing a pair of sunglasses, whatever color those glasses are is what you will perceive what's outside to be. And that's, I think everybody understands that, that's all very clear. So what does it really come down to? If the things that we perceive in our life and the things that we think are real are actually not necessarily what they appear to be, then what is underneath is really, I think, what we are all really looking to get to. And would you agree with that? Like, if the story is what story suggests that there's a fictional element to it, would you agree with that? Yes? No? Yeah. Okay, good. So then what is underneath? And I think that's why I wrote the trilogy, because my life, my real kind of awareness of being kind of an individual began at the age of 7, when I found myself in a situation where I thought I was about to die, and I was about to be killed, and it was at the hands of somebody I completely trusted, the only person in the world that you ought to be able to trust, and that was my mum. I found myself in a situation suddenly where she was trying to strangle me. And that was one of the occasions when, that was one of the occasions. And so on that particular day, I had this incredible experience, and you could say it was an epiphany, you could say it was a spiritual awakening, you could say I got present to who I am, beneath all of what was to come. And that day when I was sitting in front of our home shrine, I was born in Porbandar in India. I moved to London when I was 10 with my parents, and probably tell from my accent that actually I'm a British Indian. So that was in a moment in India, and I was sitting in front of the home shrine, and as all Indian children are, I was taught to do this morning and evening, to do my mantras, to do my japa, and to kind of pray. And so that day I went in the evening, I was so distraught.
Take a moment.
I
believe in the power of hugs and oxytocin.
I'm just being very moved by the moment, actually. In that moment, I got very present to the presence of something other than myself. And I had a conversation with the little deities that we cleaned every day, and prayed to and so on. And I had a little tantrum with them. And it was that you are just made of clay. You can't be real. How can you allow this to happen to my mom? How is this possible? That she is in this situation. It shouldn't be, there's something not right. So I had this dialogue, and therefore I cannot believe in you, that you cannot be real, this cannot be happening. You know, if you were real, you would make sure that she got well, and that she was able to take care of herself, and you know, and that you know, she would know who she is. And in that moment, I heard this incredible loud voice, and I looked around the room. It was a male voice. I heard it as though it was somebody booming, and it was like through one of these, and it said, "You are taken care of. You are well taken care of. You have a purpose, and you are well taken care of. Trust in that." And I didn't really know what purpose meant. I was only 7 years old. But in the same moment, I saw a big palm appear, like a massive palm, and a little girl sitting on it, as though the palm were a magic carpet, and being carried along like that in life, and or across space and time, you know. And I knew that I kind of connected with that little girl, and I knew that she was I. And then at the same time, I had like incredible awakening, physical sensations in my body and up my spine, and everything became very light. And I literally saw little diamonds showering through my little head and so on. So I had this real biological, physical, physiological, spiritual thing going on, and I didn't really know what it was. I didn't think anything about it. After that, it stayed with me, but I didn't know how to put it into words until I was much, much, much older. But that thing was so powerful that everything that came in life afterwards was, I just turned to this experience. I turned to whatever that voice was. And that is the beginning of my trilogy, Karma and Diamonds, because there were many, 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 many things in life that happened thereafter. And the essential aspect of everything that I share in my journey is what I call the inner diamond. And that's why the trilogy is called Karma and Diamonds, because the karma aspect is our stories, who we think we are, and all the things that we bring with ourselves, all the things that happen to us, life throws them. Stuff happens in life. Sometimes we don't have control over what's going on outside of us, but it does impact us, whether we are superwomen or otherwise. So the thing for me was, the theme in my life was whether it was corporate business that I was developing, or whether challenges with bosses, or whether it was to do with family. And having grown up in London, I sort of encountered the fact that I had this incredible, having had this experience so early on, it was really about understanding that I wanted to be free of stories. So that's not the way our cultures are set up to allow us to be independent and to be free. It takes something. And what I kept turning to was this inner voice. And so that is the inner diamond that I talk about in my journey. In the Shastras, or in the sacred text of India, they talk about it as Atman, or consciousness, pure consciousness. And for me, the inner diamond is that fused with Shakti. So, the innate divine, creative power that we each are. So I don't want to take up any more time. I think you're looking at your watch. But that is indeed the story of Karma and Diamonds. And I want to, if time permits, I would love to, what we come down to is one thing, and one thing I'm passionate about, and that is connecting each and every person who is interested in working, into this and working with me, to get them connected to their inner diamond, to their higher self, as Melissa mentioned earlier. Because ultimately that's what there is. And there is this whole belief system set up that you have to go to gurus, you have to go here, you have to go there. But listen, when you're ready, and you're ready. You can connect. I can do this with you in 5 minutes. In a process we can do. Whoever's running this session, please advise me as to whether time permits and whether we should do it now.
I have no.
We have one more speaker. If time permits, then we can. It's a 5-minute session we can do. And it's literally going to get you connected to who you are. You can ask it questions, like you would talk to your best friend, but really, learning to trust that inner voice in a profound way, and in an incredibly magical way. There's nothing very mystical about it. It's really about sort of getting present to the fact that it's there,
and allowing it to speak to you, because it's always speaking to you, and just hearing your voice. So thank you for listening, everybody.
That's the art of storytelling. We have a yoga instructor turning into a storyteller in few minutes. So now I have Dipika. She will tell us about, she's the founder for Health of Women, and she will tell us something about wellness. I'm not a wellness freak at all, but let us hear her.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin with my apologies for coming in late. There was a bit of a communication thing, and I got to know that the session was going to begin at 9:30. So I went on for a swim, and I was happy when I was outside the door saying that, hey, I'm on time even after my workout. But when I entered the room, whoops, things are different. So my sincere apologies for that. I'm Dipika Trehan, founder of the Health of Women Forum. And I'm here to talk about fitness, wellness, which is not restricted to just being slim, and how your story can actually turn into your own wellness journey, your own fitness journey. After the birth of my second child, I was about 94 kgs. I'm not great at converting it into pounds, but I think it was 190 pounds. That wasn't a great space to be in. There were times when one looked at the mirror and one wasn't happy with oneself. Not that I don't inherit genes which can take me to size 0. I'd love to. But I knew that wasn't the space that I wanted to belong to, and I wasn't happy with myself. Also, I'm sure this is one fact we all would agree with, is that it's an innate thing of a woman to keep everybody else on priority and not ourselves. We probably figure the last on priority, or sometimes don't even occur on our own list of priorities. There's a scratch on our baby, and there we go to the doctor. The husband sneezes, and there we are taking him to the doctor, preparing teas for him and trying to cure him and everything. And if we are ailing, we probably don't even acknowledge it ourselves. We do not give ourselves the importance that we deserve, which was the phase that I was going through. As per regular fitness and wellness norms, I wanted to lose weight and become slim. So I tried working out in the gym. And trust you me, I was that time in Mumbai, in an area called Juhu, which is like the core of Bollywood stars. And of course, then the gym was also flooded with those Bollywood actors and actresses working out. And there I was, at 90 kgs, trying to move, trying to lose a pound, trying to lose a kg. But months went by, and nothing moved, not even a kilo, which was very disappointing. And I'd probably become a little bit of a mockery there, saying that, Dipika, you know what, you're not destined to be under 90 or under 80, so just leave it, just chill. And I knew within that's not where I belonged. So I somewhere took a call and I said, you know what, I think this is not working for me. So leave aside the physical aspect. I've heard that yoga works wonders with the mind. I'm not in great state of mind right now. Let me try yoga for myself. In the first month of yoga itself, I lost about 2.5 kgs. And that's where I realized that this is something that's working for me. And working for me both ways, physically as well as emotionally. And that's where the journey began. And what yoga really taught me was to now put myself on priority. So I kind of did a bit of a self-talk, and I said, you know what, all this while I've been prioritizing everybody else, why not give myself a chance? Why not just get onto a wellness journey for myself, put myself on priority at least for about 30 to 40 minutes a day, and let's see what happens. And what happened was magical. What happened was a transition. Yes, I lost about 34 kgs. But more than that, at the end of the transition, I realized that it was more here than here. So the fitness, the wellness is all in our minds. And which is why I kind of further on led to form the Health of Women Forum, which the motto of my forum is making a woman fall in love again, this time with herself.
Because that's the core, that's the foundation, that's where your fitness and your wellness begins and ends at. So, yes, I went on to be a yoga instructor. I practice yoga even now. But I want to really share one thing is that there is no one fitness or wellness mantra which is applicable to all. We all need to kind of from within be open to trying different ways of working out, of our wellness and fitness journey. And in the journey realize that this is what works for me and get on to it. And believe in yourself. And most importantly, love yourself. I mean, I kind of date myself every single day. Because when you date someone, when you love someone, it's a constant effort of keeping that someone happy. And when you're in love with yourself, there is a constant effort of keeping yourself happy. And finding that one reason a day to smile, finding that one, say a couple of minutes by yourself. And many a times, one does something right and it doesn't really get noticed at times. So I'm okay, I just pat myself on the back and say, good job. So it's important to be your own friend, philosopher and guide and be in love with yourself. That's been my fitness mantra. Of course, exercise regime is very, very important. That realization comes in when you know from within that you want to move and you want to be fit and you want to be well. Thank you so much, and sincere apologies once again for the delay. Thanks.
Oh, she stepped up.
Yeah, any questions for?
Thank you. I thank all the speakers. It was really enriching in the morning. And now I just request everyone to tie the Shakti Bandhan so that we end this session on a very positive note. Anybody would just want to come and tie to each other?
Smita put us to the 5-minute thing. It seems like we might have time now.
Yeah. We have 15 minutes.
Yeah, I can.
Smita, on a popular demand, we are waiting for your 5-minute session.
Oh, do you have any more? No, I have to confirm that here.
Everybody? Is everybody with us? Good. So this is going to be a close your eyes session. So just bring your awareness within, close your eyes,
And really relax into your seat. Take a nice breath. Forget about the fact that there are other people in the room. Really make this your own practice. So please close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. And as you inhale this time, deepen the breath a little bit. Take it into a little bit deeper into the heart center. And exhale slowly. Very relaxed. Inhale this time, go a little bit deeper still. Going into the heart center and maybe a little bit past through the breath a little bit deeper into the belly. Exhale, 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 exhale. Once again, deepen the breath. Really soften the breath, sit back into your seat. Feel very heavy. Let the whole body relax as you begin to exhale. Just like you to visualize now, you're now beginning to walk on a very cool grass, very green forest. Starting to walk bare feet, so take your shoes off if you find yourself with your shoes on. Just take a look down below your feet. Just leave your sandals, your shoes, whatever, just leave them where they are and begin to walk bare feet deeper into the forest. Deep, deep grass, cool on your feet. Just get present to the air around you, a nice cool breeze brushing past your cheeks. And keep walking. And then just a little bit ahead of you, you can hear the sound of water. You can hear the sound, but you can't see anything. So just follow where the sound might be coming from. Keep walking towards where the sound may be starting from. And just as you walk a few steps, you can hear the sound become a little bit louder. And so, as you walk a few steps further, see a beautiful brook babbling away. Step into the brook. Step into the water, the coolness, the cleanliness, the purity of the water. And then come back out of the water and just sit by the side on the verge, on the green grass. Just as you do that, you can hear a very, very gentle sound, as though there's somebody else walking around not too far away from you. So just take a turn behind you and notice that there is indeed a being walking towards you. See if you can figure out whether it's a man or a woman. What are they wearing? Allow them to come towards you. You can feel their energy is really beautiful. It's like there's something very attractive about them. Allow them to come towards you. And as they begin to approach, you're getting up to face them. It's like there is this meeting of a friend, a person that you know, but you may not necessarily have met as yet, but there is something very familiar about them. And as they approach you, they extend both their arms towards you, so extend their hands out to you, inviting you to take hold of their hands. If you feel that you're ready to do this, please go ahead and take their hands. If you're not, it's perfectly okay. If you have taken their hands, allow them to share with you their energy. Just get present to what their energy feels like. Is there a great strength in what's being conveyed through the hands, through their presence? Is it soft? Is it powerful? Just let it show itself as it will. So allow this being to put their hand on your heart center and see if anything begins to open, communicate. Just allow the experience to be what it is. Really be open to what's coming forth from them. This is about as safe as it gets in a non-physical communication. So they're asking you if there's a question that you would like to ask them. Is there something that you have a burning query about, question about, something that you really want in your life right now? And they want to offer you some guidance. They want to offer you something which will make a difference to that. Let the first question that comes into your mind, just let that be there. Ask them that question. And now, trust that the answer that they're about to give you is something that you will hear very clearly, like I'm speaking to you now. Very, very clear. Clear sound, clear voice, clear communication. It may be symbolic. They may offer you something by way of an item. They may actually speak to you. They may speak to you in colors. It may be however that communication happens to be for you. But just see what they offer you. If you have another question, you can ask them, or you can just stay and maybe explore who this person is, what they bring to you, see who they are, what they want to offer you, how they want to communicate with you in the future. Just allow the communication, or just the communion, just the being together, the transference of you into them, them into you, becoming one. Just let it be as it will. And when you're ready, give them a big thank you in any way that feels right for you. Find a way of expressing your gratitude for the things in your life that you feel very deeply grateful for. Thank them for showing up. If you would like to invite them back into your life again, into your into your space to guide you again, then please let them know. And then when you're ready, find your way back to where your shoes are. Slowly walking back to that place. And when you're ready, just bring your palms together, rub the palms, and place them on your eyes. And thank you very much indeed for doing that process with me. Anyone want to share anything with that? Yes.
Many times when I get into a deep self-realization like that, I've noticed with the people that I've worked with, they start crying, you know. I'd like to tell everyone here that's absolutely okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, because tears are the purest form of emotions. So something that touches your soul, touches your heart. It's okay for emotion to flow. I think we probably block our own emotions ourselves, and in a scenario like this, if we're able to let go of emotions, that's probably something which is well achieved.
Well, exactly as she said. I think this is a very short process. But the point I wanted to illustrate is that it is actually as simple as that. When you're open and available to dropping into that higher aspect of our intelligence, you know, it shows up in different ways for different people. But it is just really, it can be really profound if you allow it to be. We really don't, although I talk about in my trilogy all the journeys across different parts of the world and so on, we really don't, it's great to do it, but it's not necessary. We can do it right here, right now. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Hold it. 1 second. Thank you.
I can take because people move too fast. Very small. Thank you. Maybe one of these can share. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So we just wait for yes, there's another session here.
दूसरा फॉर्म मार लियो एक ही फॉर्मेट है एक ही लगा हुआ है दो पढ़ लो
Oh, okay.